Welcome to it. It's True Conversations, episode 2. It's been a while, but we always want to make sure we bring you the best guests on this platform. We don't want to do quantity, we want to bring you quality. Igama lam ngu Ayabonga Gegana. We continue to converse, but this time around, we are looking at the state of leadership in this country. And I thought of the best person who would assist me in terms of analyzing, reflecting, and discussing ukuba sindawuni as a country. I like to read, and I went through my books, and I came across this book titled The Ultimate Leadership, authored by Uluphumlo T. Joga. I read the book, it's about 200 pages. Every time I read this book, and I said to my colleague, we need to get this guy a studio. And today he joins us. He is the founder and the managing director of Global Leadership Consultant, Luphumlo Joga. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. No, thank you for having me. That was a beautiful introduction. And thank you for reading the book. Thank you for pronouncing it properly. Where I go, people can't get the name right. Yeah, I get so many different names, but yeah, no.
In terms of your name?
In terms of the name of the book, The Ultimate Leadership. For a lot of people, for some reason, it's a tongue twister.
Oh, leadership.
Yeah, well, so they can't get the leadership part.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for having me, and to all of the viewers at home who will be watching this.
So the first time we met, it was in East London. Yes. We were both in a party panel. There was a men's conference hosted by the AG in East London there. And you delivered your presentation on leadership and men. Yes. And I was like, okay, I need to work this guy in the leadership, but I didn't know how. Then the second time we met, I invited you a Good News Review. Yes. We were discussing, I think, leadership in business as well. Yeah. And then that's when you gave me this book.
Yes.
That's when you gave me this book. And so I engaged with the book. Yeah. And as a journalist, of course, and as a broadcaster, we've been having different guests. But I think I'm not taking anything away from them. Yeah. But I think when I read your book, I was like, you are the best person to sit down with and really dissect the state of leadership in this country. And not only looking at the political or government, but your book addresses family, community, business, and otherwise. And maybe before we even get into that, if I were to ask you to summarize the state of leadership in this country, how would you describe it?
Firstly, let me just comment on some of the things you were saying.
I talk a lot.
Yeah, no, the first time I met you too, I really enjoyed your delivery. It was full of humor. You captured the audience, and I don't know if you spoke before me or I spoke before you.
I spoke before you.
Yeah. But it was really, really nice. You captured them in a way that is unique, and I spend a lot of time with speakers in the Eastern Cape, because when people think of conference speakers or the business of speaking, they always want to go and get people from Joburg and Cape Town, So I just appreciate the craft that you showed that day.
Thank you.
To answer, if we're to summarize the state of leadership, firstly, the book I wrote and published in 2018, 2019. Took me about 2.5 years to write.
Sure.
Let me answer something you didn't ask, why I wrote it. Because there's a lot of leadership-related stuff out there. I don't regard myself as a leadership expert. I don't look at myself that way. I am contributing to a broader discussion.
Sure.
I'm a voice that is in Africa, South Africa, that's contributing to a global discourse on leadership. When I think about why I particularly wrote it, the timing of the book, it came about in a particular time where what I was experiencing from a leadership development aspect, I thought there were a lot of things that were missing. And I was doing a lot of leadership development work, working with schools, teachers, organizations, boards, and all of that. And all of these different types of people you engage with when Amboti have a different leadership lens. So there are lots of things that inspired their book. And I think one of the main ones was adding an African unique perspective that has a youthful lens to leadership, because much of our leadership literature is very American. Johnson, Maxwell, all of these guys, you know. But we don't have, I think in the past 5-6 years, we've had quite a number. Otato Bonang Mohale, they are now starting to write more. Mr. Lincoln Mali, which is very, very great, right? But we haven't, in the past 10 years, when I look at the literature, we haven't had notable figures or notable people actually writing and documenting their thoughts as Africans on leadership, right? Why? I think your question, I'm answering your question, but your question you are asking
and
was?
it ties exactly to what you think or what you make of the current state of this leadership that we have today.
Yeah, no, look, we are obviously, so I'm a very, I'm an optimistic person.
Sure.
I like to look at the glass as half full rather than half empty. So there's a lot of good that I see, contrary to popular belief, right? I think we've got incredible people. Let's look at the South African context. We've got incredible people in the non-profit sector that are doing amazing work. So there's particularly, I want to commend the non-profit sector in South Africa in terms of leadership.
Sure.
If you look at what's happening at Gqeberha, you've got Omasenyusana, Omasifunde, valuable leaders that are actually contributing. You've got, valuable business, a business community that is not just profit-driven to a certain extent, in little pockets.
Sure.
That is not just profit-driven, but that is community-driven as well. And I'll make a case on the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber.
Yeah.
I'm part of the chamber here. I like how they approach leadership and how they approach business as leaders. But it's very worrying. I think the worrying part is the political side, because of the nature of politics. South Africans should be worried about what's going on politically, and in terms of just the quality of leaders that are putting their hand up. I think that's one of the most things that is worrying me, is you've got the people that can do the job, that can lead, that have the heart of leadership. One of the main things I was trying to put across through the book was having the right heart, not just the right head, but the heart I refer to as your character.
Yes.
The type of people that have the right character for the jobs are not putting their hands up. But you've got the opposite, people that are thuggery in their behavior, that are populist, that that are careerists, that are putting their hands up and that are saying, I can lead.
And I think that becomes my concern, because in the absence of what you term heart-centered leadership, those who see an opportunity of taking advantage of the vulnerable, we see them today, they scream the loudest, and they are followed by a huge number of people. And not only in politics, but also in religious sector, as well. We speak of the prophets of the last days, but these are the actual leaders that are not heart-centered. And what I like about what you did in this book, in your introduction, you start with family. That family becomes this primary institution of leadership. And if we happen to miss it there, we are likely to see the mess. I would refer to it as a mess that we are in today. Talk to us about the importance of leadership in a household or a family setup.
I've got two boys. My firstborn is 7 years old. My second boy is about to turn 2. And this is something I've been thinking about, like, how do I teach them about leadership? And I've been looking at what literature is out there that can speak to a grade 1 kid. And I haven't found anything, which is why I'm busy writing something that I can teach to my 1-year-old on leadership and business at that age, right? So from a family dynamic, leadership is often the first place where we are exposed. The family is often the first place where we're exposed to leadership. as kids. You see it in your mom and dad, how dad talks to mom, how dad or mom, takes control in charge of the affairs of the home. So that should ultimately be the first point of departure, as opposed to us abdicating the role and responsibility of leadership to school. So I see it as that society is made out of families. Families make up communities. Communities make up society. Society makes up cities. Cities make up the province.
Yeah.
So there are all of these. Leadership often has layers. So at a family level, everyone must play a role. And what we often see happening when I put is people actually not realizing or looking in themselves as leaders, right? Which is often a mental thing that we don't switch on. That actually, that's a leadership school.
Yeah.
The way they talk, the way njengoba simkhulisa siyamtraina within the school of leadership in how we as a family see it, right? So I think if we start looking at it like that, how do you teach our kids to be forgiving, to be loving, to be assertive, to be strategic, to be independent, to be all of these things, all of those lessons, because they spend most of their time with us as parents at home. So I think family should ultimately be the first official place where we are introduced to leadership.
And I think what I love about what you did in this book, I'm not sure if you were intentional about it, is that when you referred to leadership within the family setup, you didn't subscribe that to any gender.
Yes.
Because you understood that leadership may come from any gender, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. In fact, so this is the third edition. The book that you have here is the third edition.
Okay.
I wrote the first edition. We printed 100 copies. It was terrible. I wrote the second. I edited it and then printed the second edition of the book, updated it.
Sure.
I think we printed about 1,000 copies. Then what you see now is the third product, because I believe in progressive perfection.
Sure.
You just start, you do it, and it gets better and better, right? That is because a lady challenged me. I was presenting on, I don't know where, it was somewhere in Central. I was talking on the book.
Yeah.
And then a lady stood up and says, "Excuse me, why haven't you addressed this thing on women and stuff like that?" Then I thought, hey, I just forgot, Then when I did the other edition, then I added all of those things,
Because that's what I picked up. I said, I think I like this about leadership, especially in a family setup.
Yes.
The fact that it's not assigned to a specific gender.
Yeah.
Because in our context, South African context or Black context, is that there are child-headed homes.
Yes.
I think you touched on that. But there are also homes that are raised or that are being run, for lack of a better term, by women, single ladies. So when a woman picks this book up and they read, I think they will feel as if you're addressing them as well.
Leadership doesn't care about your color, your race, your background, your gender.
Sure.
It cares about the condition of your heart and what you want to contribute to the world. So I believe in the school of thought that says anyone can be a leader. But not everyone is a leader, right? Because it takes great responsibility. It takes great personal development work. Sure. You need to be able to look at the mirror. Not a lot of people can look at the mirror. Not a lot of leaders. I do a lot of work with CEOs, and not a lot of them can actually look at the mirror and face who they are and get feedback, right? So it doesn't care about gender. It doesn't care about color. It doesn't care about race, which is why leaders can come from anywhere. That child you see that is poor now, look at Siya Kolisi.
Oh, yes.
Siya Kolisi is a great leader within a certain context.
Yes.
So when I talk about leadership, I talk about it within a certain context, because people lead not broadly, they lead definitively. They lead within a certain context. You are the manager of SABC.
Yes.
Not Yana. The actual manager, Loiso.
I thought you were referring to me as a manager.
So what I'm trying to say when I put Ayabonga is no, I just forgot to put Loiso. What I'm trying to say is there's a context.
So
Apply for God places you within a certain context to lead. So you must always be aware of the context. Which context am I leading in, right? But you're absolutely right that there are a lot of child-headed homes and all of that. So even mothers, for instance, I come from a single-parent household where my mother was the leader, where she was both the father and the mother, where she was a leader that was highly inspirational. Doesn't mean she was perfect, right? But she taught me a lot on leadership and life, and those lessons I carry with me everywhere I go.
Who becomes a leader, or what makes a leader? Because today, if you happen to have a financial muscle, if you happen to have a charisma, if you happen to have the right words that are able to shift and convince certain people, you are bound to be a leader. But your book tells us otherwise.
There's what you call positional leadership, and there's practical leadership.
Sure.
Positional leadership often is where you often find the rotten apples. Those are people that become leaders by virtue of their position, right? So they wake up to leadership upon their appointment or deployment or whatever you may call it, right? So they lead because of their position. Then there is the practical element where they lead because of their disposition, because of how they've natured, not because someone has a position, not because someone is a headmaster or they lead because leadership is who they are. It's their character, right? So who becomes the leader? I think it's the person that is in tune with who they are. It's the person that is in sync with what is happening on the inside. It is the person that is able to work on themselves before they strive to work with other people, right? So I think we do need to differentiate, because there are people that lead because they've got a position.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they can't lead, but it doesn't mean they can lead either, right? But there are people, I'm sure you've met people that without the position, the way they command their space. For instance, umama ochayelayo oklinayo. That person can be a great leader in that context, in terms of how she carries herself within that domain. So that all figure you see, hey, there's excellence, things are in order, there's structure here, people know what to do, right?
Yes.
So who can be a leader? It's anyone that can intrinsically work or look within themselves to see what it is that they must bring out to the world.
I want us for a moment then to...
I talk a lot.
You are saying profound things.
Yes.
So don't mind me if they are very good.
Yeah.
But now I want us to problematize leadership in society today. Because if you describe leadership as such, one wonders, why do we have church leaders that are able to take advantage of our young kids, advantage of your congregants? You also mentioned this in your book, that congregants are fed petrol, they eat grass, they are scammed. Why do we have municipalities that are not functioning? Why do we keep on having qualified audits if we claim to have such leaders in society and in these institutions?
It's because we must differentiate between toxic leadership and authentic, good, sound leadership, right?
Yeah.
So we you can. This is a nice debate I always have with people that are always interested in leadership. So I like asking them this: was Adolf Hitler a leader? Right? Yeah. And the answer is, some will say no or yes, right? And my answer is yes, he was a leader, but he was a toxic, dangerous leader.
Sure.
So now what we're doing is we're characterizing his leadership style and the fruits of his leadership, right? So why do we have such leaders? I think it's just the nature of how some people are, that society has parachuted dangerous, toxic leadership and has neglected authentic, real leaders for some reason or the others. The guys that can lead, and this is just how the world works for some reason, right? The guys that can lead, the guys that can do the job, the guys that have what it takes, the guys that have a good heart, are not always the guys that end up on top.
Is it the system of electing our leaders? Is it the system of appointing them at times? Not only in politics, but also in institutions, that those who get promoted are not usually the ones. Because you also touched about this in your book, that you may have the degrees more than a thermometer.
Yes.
You may have qualifications, but if that leadership within you is not there, then we won't benefit from your skills.
Yes.
So what then becomes a fault here? Is it how we appoint them, or the system itself of electing these leaders?
Look, I believe in what is called in the psychology world internal locus of control.
Sure.
Which means taking charge of what is within your control, right? And not having a victim mentality. So I wouldn't say it's a system or anything like that. I would say, and this is I would like to use the opportunity as a charge and a call to people that are watching it, because the right people are not putting their hands up. The right people are always abdicating the responsibility to the rotten apples. The right people don't want to get involved. The right people are always taking the back seat. And that's the nature of how, in inverted commas, the right people think sometimes. You don't want to shine, you don't actually want to do the thing, right? And what happens is all of the guys that shouldn't be there end up now taking charge of an area, whether it's politics, church, or business. They end up winning at the expense of the ones that can actually do the job. This is what I think South Africa needs. We need more of the right people. Which is why I like what's happening politically now, where you're having new parties and new people that are not necessarily politicians that are rising up to the challenge. So I think in business, from a leadership perspective, we need the right people to put their hands up, right? In churches, we need the right people to get involved. Civic society, we need the right people. Politics, definitely, by far, we need the right people to start putting their hands up. And fortunately, from a system point of view now, the system politically is reforming and changing. And we're starting to have ways where independent candidates can start, putting their hands up.
We've got about 10 minutes to go. But I do want us to look at what I find as an issue. I think I addressed this in Cape Town when I attended a conference there. I said, I am so concerned about how we are institutionalizing parenting and leadership to institutions that are in society. For example, you would have an NGO that really deals with young boys and young girls, how to teach them manners, how to keep them out, away from drugs. You would have institutions that are teaching young men or even women, but it seems as if we are taking away the responsibility of parents playing their role. And this has now even extended to parents transferring their responsibility of parenting to teachers. And this is the gap that I want us to address. How do we fix that as a problem?
It's a very difficult one, because people are struggling. If you look at the statistics, the numbers, for instance, I was attending a lecture last night and we were speaking about something similar of the number of children that grow up without fathers. There's the gap there. If you look at unemployment, the unemployment figures, poverty, inequality, all of those things. How do we address that? I actually don't know. I don't know what would be the right solution for something other than saying we need a responsible citizenship, right? People responsible citizens that are aware of what they get themselves into. Because what often happens is people start to have more kids. And let me make an example, right? So this is something that I've often seen, which I don't understand. Why the poorest of the poor communities will always have more children. I'm not sure if you've noticed that.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Very poor communities, you'll always find that there's more children. And what that means is perpetuates a certain system, mindset, there's poverty from generation to generation to generation. So I don't have the answer other than saying all different leaders of society need to just take their hands and see what can we do to address the issue from a leadership perspective. So within the church, within business, within civic society,
In business, when we speak of job creation, economic development, people need jobs, and those jobs will come from companies who raise their hand. It will come from businesses that your book mentions that, or it addresses the fact that business needs to go. They need to go beyond making profit, but they need to have a heart for development and capacity. Tell us more about that.
Look, we, the biggest economies in the world are big because they've got a robust SMME sector.
Sure.
Small business development sector, small business sector. I think that's where most of the jobs come. So when government says we need more jobs, what they're not saying is actually those jobs are going to be created by people like you and me that have small businesses that employ 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right? So I think we need to hear more about that in society in terms of actually how the job creation aspect must be done, right? I forgot the question.
The question was that the leadership within the business sector, how do they raise their hand and say, we will go beyond creating jobs, but we will also be responsible in terms of our leadership and benefit the community?
The right model, Put Ayabonga, and anyone in South Africa can come and study what Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber is doing.
Sure.
Right? Where they've gotten hundreds of businesses together and they've conscientized them on how to be socially responsible.
Sure.
So there are businesses in Nelson Mandela Bay that adopt schools, that adopt potholes, that fix potholes, and that have a patriotic element. So my answer to that would be we need patriotic entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs that have a love for money, but that really just love this country. And they are there, right? It's just that they are despondent, they are discouraged, they don't like what's happening, and they don't want to speak because they're going to be victimized, right? So I think that the business chamber here has really demonstrated a nice, robust model of how business can move beyond profits and just have a heart for society by actually doing practical things, you know. And there's a lot that we can learn from that in our country.
2 questions before we wrap up.
Yes.
What is happening in this country now? We are counting down towards the 30th of June. We've seen protests from different parts of this country. One would say that is a strong indication that the mistrust between the public and the political leadership is so loud.
Yeah.
And this is the time that we need a wise, better leadership. How do we fix what is happening? How do we rebuild the mistrust that is between the general public and the political leadership?
People need to, you get the government you deserve. You get that. So instead of doing this, do this. That's what I was referring to, internal locus of control. Because South Africa has a plague. The plague is called victimism.
Sure.
We are always the victims. And we are always taking to the streets and toying. And we are unable to take responsibility. So my question to that would be, if we're electing leaders we don't trust, then why are we electing them? So man, I don't know. We need to just get more people. If you're watching this and there's something that you can do, and there's a way that you can contribute, this is how leadership works. Leadership works within the parameters of your gift or your calling. So if your gift or your calling is politics, go and get involved. If it's business, go and get involved. If it's non-profit, if it's within a job, do that job to the best of your ability. Lead within that context. And then that would be your contribute. Everyone needs to contribute. And we need to do away with victim. No, it's the politicians. It's not them. It's me and you.
And I think as voters, what we tend to forget or misunderstand is that when we put an X and vote for a certain candidate, we are entering into an agreement with them that for the next 5 years, I'm giving you this responsibility. And if you are not performing, or if you're not delivering according to what we agreed on based on your manifesto, then I have a right not to renew your contract in the next 5 years.
Yeah. But we are so, what's the word for it? We are too sentimental in how we vote. We're not, I don't think that's why I think part of my passions and part of my dreams is to really do work in electoral education, where we actually educate people on what different political parties stand for. Because sometimes we vote based on rhetoric, not based on policy. And then we vote based on sentiment. No, it's what happened. No, they did this for me in 1945, right? But we're not able to confront the facts now. What are the facts? Our economy is not growing. Unemployment is rising. There's a deep inequality in our country. And the guys that are supposed to be fixing it are not doing the best, right? So we need people that are capable. We need, and dare to say, we need young. Africa is a youthful continent, but the leadership dynamic is that the leaders are old and the voters are young.
Look, we're going to run out of time. So last two questions.
Yeah.
I won't mention their names, but do you think the organizations that now are rising up and saying enough is enough, do you think this is the kind of leadership that is required of saying, look, we are going to take things or matters, or like we're going to be responsible in the failures of those we have elected?
Let me answer that by saying this. There's a savior syndrome.
Oh, sure.
Even whoever rises up and says, no, I will fix it. If that person disappoints, we fall into the same trap of the savior syndrome, right? I just think that we need to get more people involved.
How then do we differentiate? You at the back, raise your hand.
Yes.
But there's someone now who raised their hand, but they have this savior syndrome. How to differentiate these kind of leaders?
You know, how I look at it is, and this is another challenge to all of the viewers and listeners, right? I don't think that the type of leadership, let me say something controversial, the type of leadership that we need, I don't think it will come from within political parties. I think it will come from outside. I think it will come from independent candidates that are not party loyalists, but that are more loyal to the community. Because there are certain dynamics that bind you when you affiliate sometimes, and this is my personal opinion, right? So going back to that savior syndrome thing, how do we identify that person with grassroots leadership? We go to communities. For instance, Walmer Township, there's an amazing man doing amazing work, and that is leading. And that is not interested in politics. And those are the type of people we need. The ones that say, I'm doing something, I'm helping the community, I'm available, I'm competent, I can do the job, but I'm not interested. Those are the ones that we should get to be more interested.
Where do we get the book? How do we get it?
I'll do something even better. To the first 50 viewers of this, if they comment on this and they let us know that they want the book, I'll leave my details and they can get the first 50. I'll give them a free copy of the book, but they just have to come and collect it from our office.
Lupumlo, for your time, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, unfortunately, I've got a new line, Yokotuga, now. Till we converse again, goodbye.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
If you do get people, I'll come and drop them off here.
No problem. Okay, no problem. I was saying to me, not only about editing this book, but and this thing I just highlighted go up. Okay, you know like that. Why? They don't make that idea for me.
like it's full of thank you everything about yeah, like it's got to be good and